Hi, thank you for coming. We have an evening tonight that is brought through and channeled through, actually, and I hope that you enjoy it. We are sitting currently in my office, and you will see behind you the magnificent Black Panther. She is a beautiful animal, and she's the one that teaches in a lot of the workshops and stuff that I do. And then we have the beautiful energy of the Yucatan and down in the tropical areas. And interestingly enough, I'm getting ready to do a little sabbatical myself down in Mexico, and I'm hoping some wonderful material will come through there too, and we will share it, of course. And also the plan we have is to bring some other people on so we can do some interaction and some talking about some of these teachings and how they apply. And having one more person there, I think will be wonderful. So the 1st of July, we'll be doing some different things. So thank you again for listening. Please subscribe if you're interested. And we will begin tonight by actually doing a toning. And the reason I'm doing a toning is because what we're doing is opening the 5th chakra. We're allowing ourselves, and you can tone along with me if you will, and it will also help you receive, because the throat chakra is also about sharing outward, but it's also bringing it in, and you can hear better and feel better and see better if your throat chakra is open. We're going to set up a really in-depth study of the chakra systems that I have been working with for a number of years, and it's quite different than what is being taught in the open market, so to speak, with chakras. It's really more about the energy we hold and manifest in each chakra and what the benefits are of clearing those chakras. But tonight we're going to do a toning. So we start, take a deep breath. Thank you for listening and moving with me with that. The one thing that happens is that as long as our throat chakra is open, we can allow ourselves to open the rest of the chakras. No matter what's taking place, as long as music, sound, and the opening of energy through sound and the voice, what takes place is we all of a sudden go to another area, another being, another vibration, you might say. So I'm sure some of you do it in the shower because the water helps amplify it, or do it in the bathtub, or any place you're near water. In the rain, there's been some times the most amazing energies come up through being out in a rainstorm and allowing that energy to just move through you and let your voice become open and allow yourself to take in everything around you. So I thought I'd start with that today because I'm going to be talking about what we call the tone scale. Now the tone scale it's spiritual, but it's not. It's also psychological. And it's a very interesting study on vibration and the levels of vibration. So where we're going to begin is at the base. The base, the vibration to start with is there is no energy. It's death. That's the foundation for no energy. The next thing that happens, though, as we become alive, we come back into our bodies, what takes place now is a vibration that's called apathy, or coma, Coma. And in coma, we're here, but we're not completely here. Not all of us are here. Coma is an interesting place to be, and lots of people have gone through comas and come out of their comas and had marvelous experiences while they were in a coma state. But what's happening is that your frequency needs to rise to the occasion as we move the vibration higher. So the very next stage that we have is apathy. Now, apathy is interesting. Apathy is that place where nothing is interesting. It's apathy, you just don't care. And when that happens, everything in your body sags. Your face sags, your skin sags, your eyes sag. It's like there's nothing lifting you up vibrationally. And I'm sure if you really think about it, you've seen some people in apathy. They've gone through maybe some terrible loss, or they're incredibly depressed, or something of that nature, where nothing moves them. Nothing vibrates. It vibrates at a very low place, a low vibrational frequency. So in apathy, we need to move. It needs to keep moving, because nothing else can happen in that state. And our bodies are not in good health when that's occurring. So the very next state that the frequency moves on in is out of apathy comes fear. Now, fear is interesting. Fear takes your body and holds everything. It holds it in place. It holds your water. It holds the digestion, so your digestion doesn't work very well. Everything freezes up. And this one, I'm sure all of you have experienced at some time or other, where their fear was so intense that you felt frozen. There's a semi-place too with fear, and that's called terror. And terror is even a more frozen place. That's when you are shocked and held in place. So fear never works, because even our digesting doesn't work, and our body's functions are not happening. So when we see that state in an individual, what happens is that they can't do anything. They're just holding. So obviously the vibrational frequency moves up. And as it moves up, a very interesting thing happens. And from fear, believe it or not, comes anger, is the next frequency. Now, anger is a state of fear in many ways. It has that fear base to it. But anger is movement. So all of a sudden, everything's puffing up in your body. You can even feel your digestive tract expanding, and the middle of your body gets fuller, and everything becomes taut. Your muscles become taut. Your face becomes taut, and there's a tightness in your jaw, and your body takes on this stiffness that is not movable. It's almost, at times I've told people that, being angry is a lot like being drunk. And although not everyone feels that when they're drinking, but if you're really, really drunk and you start moving through some of the anger, what takes place is a state of being that you can't even touch, because the state is a channel of just being angry, just funneling the hurt and funneling the fear. And so anger is in a state where we can actually function very well in. So the frequency begins to raise, it goes up. And when it goes up, it moves into another interesting state, which is held resentment. Now, held resentment is really tricky, because in held resentment, the individual is holding everything in, so the tightness is really inside their body, not so much outside their body like anger is. In held resentment, you're angry, but you don't know you're angry, And what you do is you push it in and hold it in and deny it. So it's a huge denial in held resentment. In held resentment, your body is generally really thin because you don't even, you digest food in a different way, and you become very thin, where in fear, for instance, you put on a lot of volume, a lot of weight, water, and all kinds of things. So it's oftentimes you see weight in our bodies. Where anger, you see puffiness in the torso. You see expanding in the torso and the tightening of the jaws I mentioned. But when you do held resentment, everything just tightens up on the inside, and everything you eat immediately processes. Now that sounds like a good thing, but it really isn't. It isn't healthy, because who you are is being held in a state of anger that you don't even know, or resentment that you maybe lived with your whole life or for a long time. And in that held resentment state, what takes place is you can't really open up. You can't really allow yourself to say what you need to say or to feel what you need to feel. And there's a state of being where it's very it's very tight. In fact, you'll see sometimes a lot of sarcasm or jokes around this, that, and the other, rather than speak the truth, or rather than speak what you feel. So the next state, so we want to move up. So we're moving up the frequency, the vibrational frequency, and the next one that is seen is called boredom. Now, I'm sure all of you have experienced that at some point in time, but boredom is when it's not like apathy, where you have no interest in anything and nothing matters. In boredom, what takes place is that you have a state of being that doesn't find anything very interesting. It's like a cow in the pasture, and they're just chewing their cud and just wandering from one place to another, but there's actually nothing really going on. They're just bored eating, and they move slow, and you see a lot of retired people that will sometimes go into boredom after they retire, and there's a fleshiness to them. They're not really heavy, but they're certainly not vibrant. There's no vibrancy to it. It's sort of a state of doesn't really matter, but everything's fine. So the next state that comes into play vibrationally is the state of contentment. Now, a lot of people, in fact, I even myself, have reached a point where I experienced contentment and thought I was really awake and aware. But contentment is a lot like boredom in that there's a little more interest in what's going on. But at the same time, what's taking place is a state where you just are okay where you're at. Nothing needs to change. So I remember when I was in that state and thinking, oh, this is lovely, this is peaceful, there's no conflict, it feels peaceful. And then I suddenly realized that there was no challenges. I wasn't really growing either. I was just laying in this contented place of beingness. And I wanted more out of life than that. So I remember putting it out to the universe. Okay, I'm ready to move out of contentment and raise my frequency. So as I raised my frequency, the next vibration that came in was vital interest. And I can remember my teacher saying, I would like all of you to start expressing vital interest. And then we'd say, what is that? I mean, what do you mean, vital interest? Well, it just means what it says. Everything you do has an interest to you. I can remember watching an ant carrying a big morsel of something that was bigger than the ant itself. And I watched it and I thought, wow, that is really interesting. And I started living in the world of vital interest where everything was absolutely and seriously fascinating to me. And it's a very high frequency. Your body is very toned. Your body, your weight usually is pretty natural for what your body needs to be. Health is definitely an increase. You've increased your health from the other frequencies, the other vibrations. And in vital interest comes some very interesting thoughts, ideas, and creations, which leads you to the next vibrational frequency. And it's a step above vital interest, which is, you might think that's easy to do, but it is not, because what the next step is a form of bliss. Now, bliss is interesting because you are now in a frequency, you might say the very highest level of your third eye and your crown. You're communing with the universe now in bliss. The only problem with bliss is that when you're in bliss, you actually don't want to do anything much except just be in bliss. I've had people talk about people they've seen in India when they've gone to India, and they'll see these gurus who had reached a state of bliss, and all they just want to do is walk and be on the ocean and be on the water, or just exist in a state of bliss. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience, but it isn't extremely functional in terms of every day, every moment. So you have these brief moments of bliss, and then you move to vital interest. So back in vital interest, you start realizing that you're going to move to these different frequencies. And what starts happening is a state of being that's called prophetic, where you become almost a prophet in your own right. You start seeing things and how they intermix and interconnect with each other. You start feeling a sense of similar oneness that you do in bliss, but you start seeing a state where you are actually seeing the inner workings of the universe, and you're able to assist people. You're able to be a force that assists people in what they're trying to do with their life. It's extremely creative, and most of all, it's a place where you can love immensely, because you know the whole design in the universe is all towards the highest good. So there are many other states beyond that one, but we're not going to talk about any more of them. In fact, these are more than I was even given originally. But the question here is, what state of being are you in? Where are you residing? And your body can tell you. Your body will tell you, and your inner state will tell you where you're at. So I offer the challenge to each one of you to take a look at, and now you can change, you can shift. You can shift from one state to another, but there's a sitting place that you sit in most of the time, and try to find that sitting place and start doing meditation and move yourself to a higher frequency, at least to the state of being of vital interest in life. Grateful that you're here, fascinated by what's taking place on the planet. I'm so grateful myself for being here at this time. There is so much going on and so much awakening taking place. Now, it's really interesting because as a psychologist, as well as a medium and psychic, I look at what's happening around me. So I'm going to shift the energy just a bit, and maybe some of you haven't been watching the Johnny Depp trial, and the Heard trial, and I find it really fascinating because all of those tone scales are present, and you can see them on their faces. You can see what's happening to them. And most of all, as a prophet, you go beyond that. And what I'm looking at times is I'm looking at the fact that finally in the world, someone has stepped in and described that men go through abuse also. They are sexually and emotionally abused, and they rarely ever speak up. They don't even sometimes identify with it. And if you hear Johnny Depp's story of his father and his mother, you can see that the patterns kept creating itself. And he's made a choice to tell all when he's really actually a very private person. So it's very interesting to watch. It's awakening things on levels that I'm very happy about that's taking place on the planet. Also, what we're doing too is our heart chakras are opening. We're starting to feel when people are suffering. Not that we can ever do anything about it, except there is one thing we can do, and that is to keep our mood up. Be in vital interest. Be in a place where you're actually raising the frequency where you're at. You're in a room, and all of a sudden the room becomes lighter and easier and more peaceful. And it's all because your vibrational energy is permeating that space. And notice I don't know if you're even watching the trial, but notice with the trial, what's taking place is those moments when awareness comes in, especially for him, and there's humor. There's actually humor. You can actually laugh at yourself and say, God, I really can't, I just can't believe. I can't believe that all this really has happened and that I've been part of this drama and painful experience. So it's an awakening time, not just for him and for her, but awakening time for all of us to really realize that we have to step into our power and make a contribution by the mood we're in, and sharing with people the lovely things you know about them and see about them and you feel about them. Say hello to anybody, even if they're a total stranger. You might raise their whole day, because a lot of people believe they're an island. They believe they don't exist except to very few people. So anyone saying hi to them makes a difference. So let's do it. Let's make a contribution. Let's experiment with saying hi to people and keeping a mood that is pleasant and friendly and kind, and see how that feels. You know, the story is that if we do something for 30 days, it's ours. It's a habit. It's become something that is ingrained in our beingness. So if there's something you want to contribute through a mood you have, or through someone that you want to, assist them in raising their frequency, do it. Let's see what happens. We're all responsible for the air that we breathe and the vibration that surrounds us. So let's see what we can do about holding that space, and instead of how easy it is to get angry on the road when somebody's driving badly, or get your feelings hurt and take something personal that really doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with them, and it has to do with the pain they're going through. So this is a reminder, and I hope you find this information interesting. And so now you can watch these different stages or vibrational frequencies, and hopefully find that vitally interesting. Okay. All right. I'm going to pull a card. Again, I'm using the Thoth deck because I find a lot more consciousness in this deck in some ways. So this drawing of the card is for all of us, and it affects the space around us. That's what cards can do. That's how they work. All right. Let's start with this one first. Oh my goodness. We drew the Sun card. This is ruled by Leo. The vibration of it is our individual light is shining. The sun as a representation of who we are. That's a pretty high frequency. Yeah. Let's look at another one. One more. Because that one was so startling. This one. We have the choice. Let me turn it around the right way. This card, when I drew a second card, I knew I was going to draw a challenging card. Because life is challenging. This card is called Ruin. And it's a heart being shattered by a sword. So what this represents is not only ruining our own mood, but ruining the moods of others. Ruining the space that we exist in. And is that necessary? And does that serve us? I don't think so. We're going to do one more, okay? I like to do threes, things in threes, okay? Oh boy, okay. We got the Queen of Discs. So, as I read this card, the Queen of Discs is about someone who absolutely knows how to generate on the physical level. Not only money, but abundance on all levels. It's a richness of life that we create, whether we have any money, whether we have all the things we need. It just means that we know, and she knows, that all things are incredible abundant. And money. Let's throw money in there too, because money is a very powerful tool of energy and vibration. And that's all it is, really, is vibration. So as we look at the Queen, she is having a really incredible time. She has everything she loves around her. Even though it's more physical than mental, than emotional, than fiery, it's cool, it's calm, and it's aligns to the vibration of everything is all right. All things are coming to the good for all concerned, regardless of what it looks like. So I'm glad she came in. The feminine aspect of her, because she's a queen, is that as a female energy, and both men and women have female and male energy. We're half-breeds, you know. We came from a male, we came from a female. So when we're looking at a card that's a queen, say for instance, it means that men or women, either way, the feminine way is to create. It's creativity. It's the creation of life itself. So whatever you want to do, be creative. For yourself, for those around you, and try different things. Even if they look funny or foolish, or you don't know how to do them, well, find out how. Because the creative nature within us is who the Queen of Discs is. So there we go. There's the cards for the night. I'm bringing in one of my favorite stones because of the energy that's happening, and this is a beautiful piece of rose quartz. It was given to me as a gift, a Christmas gift. And this one's interesting because it's got even a little leaf in it. Somehow a leaf got captured along with some other things that were involved when it was forming. But the rose quartz is about the heart. It's about the heart and the energy of the heart, the vibrational frequency of love. So I send to you this night the love that's coming from this rose quartz, that soft, pink, absolutely encompassing love that is there for us if we just reach for it and ask for it. So I thank you. I enjoy being with you, and we shall see you again.